You are Locked On Wolverines Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Detroit on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, welcome into a live Locked On Wolverines Postcast, and I think we can all agree the Texas Longhorns woke up feeling the cheesiest. I know, that's my cheesy intro for a sad post-game show on the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Final score, the Texas Longhorns kind of owned that fourth quarter and second half overall, winning 41-27. Wolverines will finish the season 9-4. But look, it was a bowl game. You can talk about the rosters that did or did not play. You can talk about it being the final page until you can officially turn the page into the offseason, into the Kyle Whittingham era. We will do all of that on this Lockdown Wolverines post-game edition, the last of 2025, as we count down the hours remaining in 2025. So on behalf of everyone on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one podcast platform in all the entire world, Happy New Year. So let's break it down. Your comments are always welcome as well. I've got some notes on Bryce Underwood and where the offense struggled, some of the mistakes made, and where the defense was exposed. But again, it all feels like this post-game show will, in fact, be just kind of the send-off into the nightmare of the season that is now officially over. And if you're like me, we can all point our attention to moving forward. But we want to, of course, do it justice with our biggest talking point, our turning point, and our player of the game next on the live Locked On Wolverines postcast. So let's start with that biggest talking point. You walk away from this one, really, you walk away from the entire season. What are you talking about?
This is what you'll be talking about.
I think this game, in a lot of ways, is emblematic of the season for the Michigan Wolverines, in the sense that you saw some good and you feel like there's potential there. You got such a talented roster, but in the end, it all just blows up in your face, much like this season did. And the numbers for Bryce Underwood, I know the broadcast crew with Mark Jones and company just wanted to make this sound like Bryce Underwood was just out there balling. And unfortunately, the sad reality is he wasn't, with the 3 interceptions. Did have the 2 touchdowns in this one, but the offense in large in the second half struggled with the turnovers, and that's where this game's going to be caught and really defined. And I think with the 2 interceptions, 2 of them anyways, that of the 3 that Bryce Underwood threw, you just wonder where he's looking and what he's looking at. Why is he making that throw? How hasn't he, in his time as, as a first-year player, progress to the level where he's not making those same mistakes? Same with the sack he takes in the first half. Those are just things you can't do as the quarterback of an offense. And you would think Bryce Underwood at this point in his career has learned that. And unfortunately, the growth and development just hasn't reached the stage that you would like after 1 year. But as is the theme with this entire episode and really the entire game, you're just waiting for Kyle Whittingham and his staff, whatever that staff will be, to put their touches on this team and to move forward. And if you listen to the interview from Kyle Whittingham during the game, he said he expects to have about 90% of the staff done by Friday. So we'll have the final announcements for that. And of course, that's your shameless reminder and shameless plug to continue listening to Lockdown and watching Lockdown Wolverines with Isaiah Hole, who does such a great job. And, in a post-game show where you're talking, again, the result is such a minor storyline in the overall temperature of Michigan football and the overall state of Michigan football. So again, if I were to summarize this game, it's, hey, Bryce Underwood's got a lot of work to do. There's talent. It didn't come into fruition the way you would have hoped in this game, especially where in the first half, it really felt like Michigan was the better team. And even I made note late in the third quarter where the intensity just got completely turned up in this game. And you felt like, wow, there's some meaning behind this game. And I also, too, not that anybody tunes in for my opinion on things by any means, but I've heard nonstop all bowl season, these games don't matter. And I understand all that. But at the end end of the day, if you're a competitor and you're out there competing with the guys that chose to stay, the guys that chose to wear the block M one more time, and forget Michigan, just in large for a second here, just largely college football in general. And again, I play at the Division II level, so don't take this as, oh, back in my day. I'm not saying that by any means, but just the same principle being, hey, strap it up one more time, play with your brothers, and go try and win a football game. You never get to do that for most of these guys. I know, the small percentage that go on to play in the NFL and professionally, whether it's the Canadian Football League or whatever it is, it's just one more game. But when it's the last time for all those seniors, and you got guys that are wanting to continue to be around the game in some capacity, I think these bowl games do mean something. It's such a disservice and such a cop out, and it's such a mainstream attitude to say, these games are pointless. Who cares? Like, go have some fun too. That's the other part of it. You get this bowl game was the Cheez-It shower afterwards for Sark and the Texas Longhorns coaching staff. You get I guess the Duke's Mayo Bowl is one of the famous ones with the mayonnaise bath. You get the Tony the Tigers one earlier today, this Sun Bowl with Arizona State and Duke, and the Pop-Tarts Bowl. And I know these are goofy and gimmicky and everything, and I'm not saying, that's why you go to play college football, so you get a chance at the Tony the Tigers Frosted Flakes shower. No, it's not all what I'm saying, but we all became at some point too cool for school, and I don't know why, and that became a thing. And unfortunately, I just think it's an easy cop out to say, well, we don't care because it's just a pointless bowl game. And I wanted to, I should have said that sooner, and now I'm just going off on a tangent here. But hey, it's the post game show, so anything can happen. I wanted to say that sooner about Biff Poggi and the rest of the guys that chose to suit up and the guys that chose to play. It's a testament to them. And I never thought we'd be in that state where you have to denote, hey, this guy's playing in a college football bowl game. Good for him, but that's where we are. And I commend those guys after the tumultuous couple of weeks they had, and albeit all self-induced from a program perspective by a crazy former head coach. And obviously I do the post-game show. I'm not doing the daily show where we would be talking about that every single day. But the fact of the matter is, the guys that had nothing to do with any of Sharon Moore's choices had a lot of BS, for lack of a better term, to deal with leading up to this game. And I commend them for blocking it out and going out and putting forth a good effort against a good Texas team. Now, I know there's no moral victories, and I see all 150 something comments that I haven't gotten to yet about the shortcomings of this team on the field. But again, the fact of the matter is, it was a bowl game. Michigan had a chance in this one. Too many big plays given up. Arch Manning, listen, I think the hype is going to be back for him to start next college football season. Remember him being, one of the favorites. I think he was the favorite to win the Heisman starting this season, which is just crazy because he certainly was not there from a skill set standpoint yet. But one more opportunity to go ahead and ignite the hype in that bowl game tonight leading into next season. So, all right, let's go ahead and take our one and only break as we progress forward on this Locked On Wolverines post-game show after a Michigan loss in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. We continue on with our player of the game and what's next for the Wolverines next. This episode of the Locked On Wolverines Postcast is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast, and one big play, suddenly everything feels a little bit different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, and of course, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. shift, a receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump right into that moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props upgrade as guys heat up, and you can bet next touchdown score, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap and every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. It's the Locked On Wolverines post-game show. If you're just joining us live, reminder, you can catch the audio-only version of this episode wherever you get your podcasts, all compliments of the number one sports podcast platform, the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, the turnovers, of course, were the biggest talking point from Bryce Underwood and this offense, really the reason they lost down the stretch because listen, this Texas team without those turnovers, you're looking at a totally different game. They were down 9 starters, but the fact of the matter remains they made the plays when it mattered the most. But how about our one big turning point?
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
If you look at what Michigan did in that fourth quarter, getting outscored 17-7 by Texas, it was all a result of the turnovers from Bryce Underwood. And obviously the 3 picks, the biggest part of that. But I mean, this offense at times looked really, really good tonight. And again, I caution everything I say with this as, hey, let's go ahead and forget about it because not in the grand scheme of things, you turn the page and you're into the Kyle Whittingham era right now. I think everybody's into that era right now. Kyle Whittingham is now the head coach of the University of Michigan. So long, guys like Biff Poggi and Wink Martindale, and it's a new era. So, if you win, you have the 24-hour rule, I guess, but in a loss like this, I don't even know if they'll watch the game film of this one. The transfer portal opens up. This team's going to look totally different, and that's just what college football and college athletics in general has become. But I got to admit, though, it was an entertaining game to watch. I think based on the number of people that are on the live broadcast right now and the number of people commenting in, many would agree that it was at least a entertaining back and forth match at that. And I'm sorry, with no producer, I can't keep up with all of the comments coming in, but you got to admit that even though Michigan comes up on the short end of this one, there was a lot to like. A couple of really impressive rushing attacks from Bryce Underwood, which again, all season you're thinking, why wasn't he utilized more on the ground? What could the season have been had he been more involved in the offense as a runner overall? But all right, let's close it out with our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
It's got to go to Arch Manning, and as I said, the hype will once again be real. And I mean, Arch just getting it done with his legs, 9 carries, 2 of them ending up for long touchdown runs, 155 yards on the ground. He was 21 of 34 for 2 touchdowns through the air. But as a team, Michigan didn't do enough to force the turnovers. They get just the one turnover, and had the game played out differently, or had there been more turnovers, rather, I say, that's probably a better way to put it. This game could have turned out a little bit differently for the Wolverines. But all right, as I mentioned, it's on to next season. The Kyle Whittingham era is here. Michigan can move on from the tumultuous month of December that they endured, compliments of Sharon Moore and so on and so forth. As always, there's never a dull moment with Michigan football. I can rest assured on that. I think we're all in agreement with that. But even though Michigan ends the season 9-4, I think this fan base, this university as a whole, really could use a bounce back year moving forward. You got an amazing basketball program, and potentially more on this. I'm not sure if if Isaiah Hole has mentioned it or anybody else, but we're working with the Locked On bosses about doing a Locked On Michigan squad show. So more Locked On Michigan content coming potentially. If you've seen some of the other squad shows, it's more of a panelist show, and we get everybody out there just talking ball with Michigan Wolverines. So that being said, hey, appreciate everyone that tuned in all season long and made the Locked On Wolverines postgame show a lot of fun. Make sure you like today's video. Go ahead and subscribe as well. Michigan comes up short in the cheesiest Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. I woke up feeling cheesiest, Coach. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time on the Locked On Wolverines podcast.